Ruth is one of the most beloved figures in the Hebrew Scriptures and Jehovah's Witnesses, drawing from materials on jw.org. Appreciate her story for its strong lessons in loyalty, faith, and reliance on God's direction. To get a good sense of who Ruth was and why her example holds such prominence, it helps to step through the narrative of the Bible book named after her, which the witnesses often highlight in their publications and congregation teachings. Context and background. Ruth lived during the period of the Judges, an era that the Bible describes as tumultuous in Israel, characterized by cycles of unfaithfulness to God, oppression, and the rescue of the Israelites by appointed judges. Amid this instability, Naomi, an Israelite from Bethlehem, relocates to Moab with her husband, Elimelech, and their 2 sons. The sons eventually marry Moabite women, Orpah and Ruth. Moab was a neighboring land that often had a complex relationship with Israel, but Ruth's marriage to Naomi's son ties her to an Israelite family. Trials and loss. Calamity strikes when Naomi's husband, Elimelech, dies, followed by Naomi's 2 sons. Naomi loses not only her husband but also both her children, leaving her and her 2 Moabite daughters-in-law in dire straits. Naomi decides to return to Bethlehem in Judah, where the famine that originally drove her out has ended. Here is where Ruth's defining trait, her loyalty, begins to shine. Ruth's extraordinary loyalty. Naomi lovingly advises both daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah, to remain in Moab, their homeland. She explains that she has no more sons to marry them according to the customary levirate marriage arrangement, which would ensure their future. Orpah, after some reluctance, returns to her family. Ruth, however, refuses to leave Naomi's side. Her famous words at Ruth chapter 1 verses 16, 17, according to the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures used by Jehovah's Witnesses, reflect deep devotion. Do not plead with me to abandon you, to turn back from accompanying you. For where you go I will go, and where you spend the night I will spend the night. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. From the witness's perspective, this passage demonstrates not only commitment to her mother-in-law but more importantly commitment to Jehovah, the God of Israel. She's adopting Naomi's nation and her faith, an extraordinary act of devotion considering Ruth was a Moabite, and Moabites were at times regarded unfavorably by Israel. Yet her loyal love and trust in Jehovah transcended ethnic differences. Return to Bethlehem and hard work. Once Naomi and Ruth arrive back in Bethlehem, the prospects for survival are grim. They have no husbands, no tangible inheritance, and limited means to support themselves. Following the Mosaic law, landowners would leave the edges of their fields unharvested for the poor to glean. Ruth quickly takes initiative. She goes out to gather leftover grain. In a display of humility and diligence, she works long hours in the heat, gleaning the fields to support Naomi and herself. The account mentions that Ruth, just so happens, to glean in the field of Boaz, a relative of Naomi's deceased husband. From the witness's standpoint, this is providential, showcasing God's guidance. Boaz notices Ruth's conscientious effort and extends kindness, providing extra protection for her and instructing his workers to leave behind extra grain for her to gather. This scenario illustrates to Jehovah's Witnesses that when we trust in God's arrangements and work diligently, blessings often follow. Redemption and marriage to Boaz. In Israel, there was a custom regarding repurchasers, or kinsmen redeemers, where a relative could redeem property or marry the widow of a deceased family member to ensure that the family line continued. Naomi points out to Ruth that Boaz is in the position to act as their repurchaser. Following Naomi's advice, Ruth approaches Boaz at the threshing floor, a respectful gesture to signal her request that he fulfill this honorable role and take her under his protective care. Boaz is deeply moved by Ruth's loyalty and moral integrity. He negotiates the matter legally in front of town elders because there is one closer relative with the first right of refusal. When that relative declines, Boaz agrees to marry Ruth, redeeming the family's inheritance. Resulting blessings and lineage. Their marriage results in a son named Obed, who becomes the grandfather of King David. This lineage is significant. Jehovah's Witnesses emphasize that Ruth was thereby an ancestress of Jesus Christ. The account demonstrates how Jehovah can use anyone, regardless of their background or place of birth, if they display genuine faith and loyalty. For Jehovah's Witnesses, Ruth's example resonates because it underscores the idea that all who faithfully serve God can be part of His purpose, and that no one is excluded based on nationality or past circumstances. Key lessons for modern-day believers. Loyalty and love. Ruth's story is a testament to the quality of loyal love, sticking with loved ones in challenging situations. Jehovah's Witnesses point out that this loyalty extended beyond family ties to embrace God's worship and the people of God. Ruth's heartfelt vow highlights how loyalty can transcend cultural barriers. Humility and hard work. Ruth didn't wallow in despair over her losses. She took practical steps to care for Naomi and herself. Jehovah's Witnesses often refer to her as an example of humility and diligence, encouraging believers to take initiative and rely on Jehovah's help while putting forth strong personal effort. Trust in God's arrangements. From the Witnesses' viewpoint, Ruth's meeting Boaz wasn't mere chance but a result of God's guiding hand. They draw parallels to how Jehovah can guide those who remain faithful in difficult times, opening a way out, or providing loving support from believers. Please share and like and